So looking back, do you think it was unwise to require the population to get the Pfizer and Moderna vax?
It depends on the time. I think it's unwise to keep on giving this nonsense. I shouldn't say that. I should be careful when I call it nonsense. The idea of getting an antibody vaccine and then creating another antibody vaccine and another antibody vaccine that chases your tail, I don't know what that's doing, those spike proteins.
It's not ridding your body of COVID, though.
It's not. Is it creating even more variants in your body? I don't know. But
is that possible?
I see the idea, and I'm such a scientist, I need to actually go and actually pull out these variants and sequencing them. That's what we do now.
Is it theoretically possible?
It's theoretically possible.
Could there be any change to a person's DNA from taking this?
Well, that's what this does.
It's what the mRNA vaccines do.
Correct. It converts into DNA and it converts into replicating, and that's what it does. And it replicates an RNA virus. It becomes the virus.
Well, as someone who's clearly, you've made reference to it a couple of times, interested in evolution, to change the DNA of a species is to change the species over time.
No, I don't think it integrates. My concern is that this virus is all about itself.
Very selfish virus.
Selfish virus. In fact, the fact that it's now less deadly is in the virus's interest. The virus doesn't want to kill you because you are the incubator. Think about that. The virus wants you alive.
You're speaking in a way that suggests intent and forethought.
It's biology. It's evolution. Everything is evolution. It was the intent to go from a tadpole to to human being.
I don't know, but to consider the possibility you have something, or the certainty that you have something within your body that is acting against your body's interests on purpose.
Yeah, because it needs you to be the incubator. So the veracity when it was so man-made. So, viral evolution, when we call affinity maturation, it matures itself so that it can be more infective. That's one thing it tries to do as a virus. I mean, these viruses are living organisms. And when I say living, they don't have brains or anything else, but they have machinery that are very sophisticated. They have what they call promoters and et cetera.
Why would you make something like that on purpose?
Well, there are viruses in nature,
of course,
which theoretically will go through what you call maturation that normally do not infect you. They're not they're species specific.
Exactly.
But why would you then change that? And that's what this, gain of function study was so dangerous. That's why it was prohibited.
It's so self-evidently evil to even play with something like that, with the potential consequences, which we're now seeing, 13-year-olds getting pancreatic cancer. Like, how could anyone do that? And why aren't those people in prison?
Well, it was banned, right?
It was banned in the United States.
Yeah.
Hence the Wuhan lab partnership.
Well, right? So we subverted it. And now you talk about, why I say so few people could harm so many. How they got around that is for the investigators to find out.
But I mean, you're someone who's created cancer drugs, who spent a lot of his life in a lab. That's why you're a billionaire. So you know a lot about this topic, obviously. And it's clear to you that that's just too dangerous to be doing that, right?
Yes.
To take animal viruses and make them...
You can't control it. I mean, because you've done affinity maturation that would have taken tens of, maybe millions of years. In that fusion protein, they created this fusion protein and then they created this vaccine. I think Barney Graham was the part with Collins and everything else that was so proud to that will create this RBD and make it stable. Think about it. The spearhead, the tip of the spear that goes into your cell, we're going to make it stable. That's how this vaccine was produced. This was the mRNA vaccine was produced. So you've taken a virus that's now gone from bats to man only because I think this gain of function work. You then created a vaccine by taking the spearhead of this virus that is now being created to get into you and make the spearhead even more stable and put it on the vaccine and says, here we go.
This seems super crazy. So just from the perspective of a layman again, if I've never had COVID and I get the mRNA, if I get the Pfizer vaccine, mRNA vaccine, if I got it 3 years ago, can you detect COVID in my body now?
Possibly.
See, that's just crazy
and
town.
Look, I know of I won't name her, but she was a very senior person at the FDA. And she just got the vaccine, that's it. And within weeks, she got brain fog, loss of memory. So there's clear evidence that sometimes the vaccine is the cause, and sometimes the virus is the cause. So that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But it's not mutually exclusive.
I understand. But
it's all about the spike.
But the idea that you would be introducing the COVID virus into a body that was not infected by the COVID virus is like,
you're right. You went after the wrong protein, basically. I've been begging them to go after the nucleocapsid protein, because the nucleocapsid protein, which is in the core of the virus, is not the tip of the spear.
Right.
And if you have a T cell, it lasts for 17 years. We know that from previous COVID infections.
Yes.
But they refuse to do it.
This seems like a human tragedy at like an unimaginable scale.
Completely. It devastates me.
Well, that's incredibly bracing. And I think you're one of the very few people I've ever met who has the absolute authority to speak on this. And yet you've not been encouraged to speak about it, it sounds like.
I've not been what?
Encouraged to speak about it.
Yeah, because I'm not a political person, and I have this bigger picture that we have to find a solution, not just for COVID, but for cancer. And the irony is this BioShield works for both. And the only chance...
they're connected, it sounds like.
Completely connected. And the only chance we have now, because I had no idea that the political deep state was so powerful and so vicious and so egotistical that they would stop good science. So now I'm out there speaking because the drug got approved. But that's not enough just for bladder cancer. It has the same treatment effect for pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, triple negative breast cancer. It is the only molecule for 50 years that upregulates these killer cells, period, the missing link.
Well, you never got COVID. So you really never got COVID?
Never got COVID.
How many people do you know who didn't get COVID?
Well,
the President of the United States got COVID like 4 times.
So if you did get COVID, there's 3 antigens in the virus. There's a spike, there's a nucleocapsid, and there's a thing called the M protein, M. And if you have, when you do your blood test, you can see if you have the M protein. If you have the M protein in your antibody or T cell or antibody to the M protein, that means it came from the virus. If you have no M protein, it came from somewhere else. It could come from the vaccine. I have no M protein, and I have T cells to N, and I have T cells to S.
So you could basically lick a park bench and not get sick.
No, it doesn't exactly. So now you need to differentiate and not conflate the ability of the virus to infect. It could still infect me, but my body has the protection, the BioShield, to clear it immediately, within 7 days. Clear it.
Is this a lifelong protection?
Well, based on the science of what they call MERS-1, where it was in 17 years is protection.
That was the original coronavirus outbreak.
Correct. 17 years, this nuclear T cells is out there. So
I'll take that. I'll take 17
exactly. Years. And you can get a booster. Now what we're working on is a universal COVID virus, a vaccine for all coronaviruses, because it's in. So what we did, that's a good segue to that. So during my genomic sequencing, I was building the whole machine learning supercomputing network, and I ran the National Lambda Rail for the God's particle, and I built supercomputers and AI way before AI was, and I presented the AI model to President Obama, believe it or not, in the one-pager for healthcare. So our supercomputer, we combined ourselves with Microsoft so that we had the largest GPU cloud during COVID. And we were able then to actually look at the infectivity of every species, every variant of COVID with every human type. There's a thing called HLA. So that we could actually look at how the virus would change and avoid the T cells. And the only thing that it could never do was change the nucleic capsid and never could avoid the T cells. We made that software public. It is still public, and published it so that anybody could test. Based on your HLA and my HLA type would be slightly different. There's hundreds and thousands of HLA types, and know whether this sequence, if you had that sequence in your body, would be protective. Through that, we are developing what we call a universal COVID vaccine, BioShield T-cell vaccine, and we have it. But how do you do it? So one of my thoughts was just to give it away to somebody. I actually offered to give it away to Regeneron and to Amgen way back, but they were too busy. Everybody was too busy during the COVID time. So one of the ideas now was for me to actually go to the Serum Institute in India and say, here, please go build this and make this available to the world. So, there's just so much we could do as an organization. We're a tiny little biotech company, relative to the Merck and the Pfizers. But that's what my goal is. My personal goal is, when you say I'm still doing it, I don't have a vineyard, the resources that was given to me as like God's gift, I believe, that allowed me to do this. So, we have hundreds of employees, have 40 acres of land in Los Angeles. The other tragedy was I took over this facility in Dunkirk, that New York State had put $200 million in, completely empty, brand new, amazing facility for national preparedness. And I called Chuck Schumer to help me make that available for the country. Nothing. It's still sitting there, available for the country as a national preparedness manufacturing site in Dunkirk, New York, for which we put $50 million in, but there's no employees in there right now. Nothing.
That's crazy.
It is really ridiculous, right? Without leadership, without skill sets in leadership, and without informed leadership, how we as a country could go down the wrong path. And I'm so hopeful that these next 4 years could change that.